quick access to loans from Page Financials. Page Financials, taking you
Studio is live.
further.
Mics are up. Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much. Thank you for being here on Smooth 98.1. You're listening to Smooth Breakfast with Ayomairo Esse.
And Valentine Ohu, good morning.
It is time for us to share detailed analysis of the newspaper stories for today, Tuesday, 27th July 2021. And we're joined by Oji Uka, our able analyst. Good morning, Oji.
Good
Welcome.
morning. Good morning. How are you doing today?
I'm well, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome, Oji.
Thank you. Okay.
Welcome. To share your thoughts on the stories here are actually a few media to respond.
Yes, we're streaming live on YouTube, youtube.com/smooth981 FM Lagos. You can watch us and also send your message through that platform. We're also on WhatsApp, 0809 444 is the number. All right, let's start with our very first story, Oji, and it's from the Punch newspaper. Buhari signs 983 billion naira 2021 supplementary appropriation bill into law. It's worthy of mention that the House of Reps, the House had already signed this, so it was just he just assented to this. What they've broken this down is that it's going to be 123.3 million naira for recurrent expenditure and non-payment repayment of loan, and then 859.3 billion naira for capital expenditure. They've also mentioned a few things, broken it down as to what is mainly for health and a bit of for allowance the health education sector and other wage related issues. Please let me know your thoughts on this. I know we've talked about this before, but now it's now been signed. It's now going to happen. Where is the money going to come from? I know they made provisions for this. And then what's your take on this supplementary budget?
Okay, so for me, it's not a lot. There's not a lot to analyze here. It's more of a news item, which is that the supplementary appropriation bill has become an act. So it's now officially what we propose to spend. The major thing there is that the two major items that they hope to fund from the money that they get would be security and health concerns.
Yeah.
For health in particular, it's not just health generally.
Yes.
The purchase of vaccines.
Yes.
I always had an issue with the fact that my country, while other countries were getting their people tested and vaccinated, we were depending on foreign aid. We were depending on people to help us with vaccines. I just had a problem with it in principle. So it's a good thing that now that Nigeria is no longer just waiting for the AU, for
COVAX,
all those other people to give us free vaccines. And Nigerians are not being vaccinated, okay? We're talking about other countries where majority of the population are already vaccinated.
Yeah.
And the time will come, maybe Nigerians don't know this, those who don't travel may not really care, but the time will come when, without being fully vaccinated, you might not be able to get access to other countries. And it will hit you hard when you have need to travel. So
I think the time is now already.
Oh, well, time is now. So
some countries have already started implying, maybe not making it very obvious, but implying that you should have been vaccinated
before you get access to your country. So it's a good thing now that I believe this will be the first time really that Nigeria is actually paying for those vaccines. So what we would then expect is that they really carry it out.
But is it confirmed what type of vaccines they're paying for?
The one it's mentioned Johnson and
Johnson
Johnson.
and Johnson they mentioned.
So 30 million vaccines.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they also hope to fund security. Really, they are the two biggest issues we have in Nigeria right now: security and then health. Before you add the economy, so there's nothing. There's not a lot to say here.
Yeah.
The last question was how they'll get the money.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it was
maybe
discussed.
maybe they would.
I think part of it is borrowing, so more borrowing. At least this is a justification for the borrowing that we have discussed in the past. But yes, like you mentioned, we look forward to the not just the signing of the budget as we've seen in the past, but the implementation and the release of funds. And let's move on to our next story. Buhari embarks on 2 weeks trip to London for summit medical checkup. So, it's interesting that the State House press release signed by Femi Adesina, who is the special advisor to the president on media and publicity, states that the president traveled yesterday, Monday, for an education summit. A number of things, stood out for me in this report, Oji. One is that last week we talked about the president restating his commitment to education when he met with some NYSC members in Daura, Katsina State, where he had gone to spend his Salah holiday. And now he's attending a global education summit in London. Bear in mind, this summit is jointly hosted by the Prime Minister of Britain and the President of Kenya. When I saw this, my heart was a bit sad because
Why?
because we are the giants of Africa. Shouldn't we be leading on things like this? I still want to.
I think at this point it's subjective. I mean, it's easy to call yourself the giant, like the lizard.
So that's what I'm saying. So these things like this are justification for why we cannot continue to call ourselves that. It's a bit disappointing, but for obvious reasons why we were not called to come out. We are called as participants.
I mean, if you check some of the advancements, some of the improvements that Kenya have made to the country in terms of different areas.
Yes. And then of course his medical trip. Please take us through the story, or let me hear your thoughts on this.
So let me ask you, what is the basis for Nigeria leading an education summit, a global education summit? Just one.
Your education has to be right.
They recommended.
Why are you doing this, Oji?
I'm just asking. They recommended. It's recommended that you spend your budget.
Yes.
Not that you even end up spending. The budget for education every year should be between 15 and 20% of your budget. For 2021, the proposed budget by the Buhari administration was 5.6%. Not just that it is poor compared to the global, the recommended spend, it is also the worst in Nigeria in the past 10 years. For me, I think the president was embarking on medical trip and then had to justify it by attending or fixing it. We do these things now, right? You are looking for a reason to do something, then you now find a way around it. This is the 13th, again from report, this is the 13th visit the president is embarking on to the UK in 6 years.
Yeah.
He's entitled to, I can't stop him. There are also other presidents who even live, African presidents in particular, who live.
No, those are not good examples.
I'm just saying, I'm not defending him, I'm just saying that he's also been traveling, at least in fairness to him, he comes back to Nigeria every now and then.
Of course.
The other point to note, as I said earlier, this is an education summit that he's attending. He says the deliberation will focus on the power of education, a conversation between global champions, transforming education for girls, financing for impact and recovery. We're not financing properly. Our education system is under attack at the moment, right? Particularly in the northern part of the country, there have been instances of the parents refusing to send their children to school. And why would you? Because you cannot guarantee their safety. The government cannot guarantee their safety. So the education sector is under attack in Nigeria at the moment. And if the president attending the summit and listening to other world leaders will make him increase the budget spend on education for next year, if it will result in them providing the enabling environment for those schools to thrive, particularly in the north, where I repeat, education is under attack, all well and good.
That's a big if, though.
Well, that's not. You see, at the end of the day, there's really not much we can do when analyzing like this, other than just to express optimism and hope that things get better. He's also, as always, will be accompanied by a number of ministers: Foreign Affairs Minister, Minister of State for Education, the NSA, and DG of National Intelligence Agency. For me, the last point is, if we're looking for money to fund education, some of these trips abroad might assist in funding education, particularly if it is true that some other presidents will be attending this conference virtually.
Can I infer that what you just said means that the trips will enable or influence the other presidents to lend support to Nigeria's education system, or that the fund invested in the trip
we can't continue
could have been
for
used for
help all the time? No, it's not every time, everything we need to do. Nigeria is, we might be a poor country, but at least we have the resources that if we take advantage of, we can at the very least fund. Education is should be one of the priorities of any government.
Yes.
So I'm not asking for foreign aid or foreign loan at this time to fund our education sector. I'm saying if in attending, he hears from other presidents, finds out how much they spend on education, hopefully
We can
Next year,
is
it'll be
it-
5.6%.
a quick search engine on we won't need to spend that much
You just need to
money
go for a conference to do that.
to find
right?
and
I was even going to ask, sorry, before
Yes.
you take his message.
George's
I was going
message,
to, I'm going to confirm. I mean, is this a physical summit or it's virtual? Are
I-
all the presidents coming to sit down physically?
you mentioned it.
It was the first time I heard about this trip sometime yesterday when someone jokingly said Nigeria's president is going to London to attend a virtual summit. I don't know if it's true. And the African president also did that last week. I believe it was Malawi, if I'm not mistaken, who had to go. His excuse, in fairness to him, was they did not have
Good internet.
facilities to.
Do we?
No,
But
they did not
that
have.
was
So
their
he had to go
excuse.
to the UK.
I know. I'm still
you're
shocked.
surprised, yeah?
Africa.
So
But
here's Chata's message.
he said, "Oh no, let me take George from Michael's message
First,
actually."
okay. Oh, okay.
The summit Buhari supposedly traveled for is a virtual summit. Even the UK and Kenya won't be in the room. Why is Buhari physically going to London for a virtual summit? Like Oji said, maybe the internet. They are not doing electronic votes for the same reason.
Oh,
So
even in
maybe
Asoro, okay.
maybe the internet facilities, or perhaps he wants to be closer to the center.
And what else?
Well, to be fair, he also hopes to have bilateral discussions with the Prime Minister of the UK.
Okay, we look forward to seeing the outcome of this or hearing about
Can
it.
we just say it's a medical trip and just leave it at that?
It's not medical. Wow.
Okay. MI says it's the irony for me. The education allocation in 2021 appropriation bill is the lowest in 10 years.
Yes, exactly.
ASU is threatening another industrial action. Insecurity is exacerbating out of school starts. Instead of you to eat, you're deceiving yourself by chewing your mouth with an empty stomach. Interesting analogy. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Chibuke Roy Agu says, I didn't say lizard of Africa. I said like the lizard, when he falls, if nobody heals him, he will heal himself.
Yeah.
He said too much watching of Godzilla, but I agree. The Giants of Africa title is not by size.
And then we have from Emeka Inamo saying it will be interesting to know what the president has to say about education, considering how bad our education sector is. Look at our budget and education on education, really abysmal. I think, for actually it's people like this, it's people that have a problem that have a challenge, let me put it that way, that need to get informed.
Yeah.
So maybe we need this education summit.
Oh, we do.
Let's get the
I mean,
findings.
if you don't know what's happening, at least, or
least
how
you
they're
go
tackling
out.
their issues, you go out and learn.
Maybe
right?
they'll talk about how to negotiate with universities.
If we're going to give ourselves credit, we learn. We learn or we copy well.
Yeah.
Or we emulate.
E.g.
That's a better way
E.g. Where have we emulated or copied?
to. Internet ban or certain aspects of the internet being banned. So yeah, some of the measures. Should I continue? There are a lot of examples.
No, it's okay.
Oh,
Thank
okay.
you. All right, let's move on. Beans, tomatoes, rice record 253%, 123%, 51% price hike. Oji, this headline is enough to make one just feel really sad.
It is.
And I think beyond the headlines, is that when you read this, you feel it, because it's not an abstract headline. It's a headline that is pinching many Nigerians. This study was done, a survey carried out by correspondents of the Punch newspaper in markets across Lagos, Ogun, and the FCT. They have also recognized, according to some players in this industry, the reason for this price hike, chief of which, no surprises, insecurity. They've also talked about, of course, climate change and the pandemic, amongst a few other things. But please, I would like to know your thoughts on this. A number of Nigerians can relate to this. People have had to cut their coats according to it's not even according to size of
It's
fabric.
according to cloth.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not even fabric.
Fabric.
anymore.
I think it's according to what is available.
Yeah.
According to the
Some people
tailor.
got 6 yards. They gave you 3, so use the 3. manage
Just
it.
use it. And what a time for there to be such a hike in the midst of a pandemic when people are losing jobs, cuts in income, etc. Please take us to the story.
See, this story is just basically about repeating the numbers, okay?
Yeah.
But saying it slowly so it sinks.
Yes.
Yeah.
In 1 year period, the cost of 50 kg of beans rose by 253%.
So that's the size of Mudu. Interesting.
No?
Oh,
No,
no,
no.
I was trying to figure out Mudu because Mudu size.
No, this one is 50 kg.
50 kg.
Yeah, that's like
okay.
half
half
bag,
bag.
right?
Yeah.
253% in 1 year. A basket of tomato, 123% in 1 year. and then of course bag of rice 50 kg rose by 51%. This is in a 1 year period. That's not all. So we also have bread, curry, onions, also rising sharply during this period. And like you rightly pointed out, we are facing extraordinary times. We have not had any significant increase. The minimum wage that was increased from 18,000 to 30,000 naira. Not all the states are paying. A lot of the states are still owing their workers.
Not all the states can pay.
Not all the states can pay, and we are at a time when we have huge a big insecurity issue, particularly the ones targeting farmers in the northern part of the country, particularly those ones that we know as the food belt of the nation. Again, I always try to see, not to be seen as just sitting down in one place and attacking government and saying, yeah, no. So it's not the duty of government, right, to provide food, no, but it is the duty of government to provide the enabling environment for farmers to go to their farm, and it's a system.
Yes.
Sometimes governments even help those farmers, make things easier for them. We've had time in the past where the government had to provide free fertilizers.
Yes.
Just things that will make it easy. Seedlings.
Yes.
This is for you. Yes, under this administration, we've had them give this Anko Borua scheme and all of that. So it doesn't stop at saying take 20,000 naira, take 100,000 naira. If I cannot go to that farm, a lot of farmers are afraid to go to. We've had even high-profile Nigerians killed on the way. Remember the former chief of army staff on his way to the farm.
Yes.
And we think those things don't have effect. They do have effect, and we're seeing it now. But so what do we do? There's no significant increase in anybody's salary. I don't know anybody who has received a salary increase significantly in the past 1 year. At least not public servants.
Yeah.
So we are. It's a crisis situation.
Yes.
But I do not see the sense that the government considers this a crisis situation. I've said this countless times. We see it's not enough for you to just sit down in one place and say you have arms, you can attack citizens, you can arrest. If all the armed forces in Nigeria use all the arms they have, they cannot stop an uprising if it arises. They cannot. Nowhere in the world can, because you can't kill everybody. At a point, they will overwhelm you. I'm not asking for an uprising. I'm simply saying, if people no longer have what to eat, they will eat what they see. And we should not wait for it to get to that extent. All we ask is for the government to consider that there is a crisis situation. You don't fiddle while Rome is burning. You're not Emperor Nero. You don't go around going with ministers to go for summits that you can sit in your office and do. You should. When I say, how do I? Is when you as individuals, they say when you feel and you say, look, I should not go for this naming ceremony because my son is sick.
Yes.
You can come out and just your body language. Look, there is a problem. I'm going to cut the salary of all my political appointees. I'm going to stop taking my salary myself. Not like you need it anyway. I'm going to slash my security vote into, and this is not just the federal government now.
At the state government
We expect
level,
those in office to give an impression. See, when it comes to governance, I have studied it and I realized that you don't even need to do much for them to pray, for people to praise you. You just need to be seen as doing something.
True.
Wake up and do some of these symbolic
At
things.
least to be human.
That is all that we expect.
Human.
That's all we expect from people in government in Nigeria. It is not asking for too much. It is not.
Okay, so how do we? So what you're saying, and thank you so much for your brilliant analysis and take on this story. Wow, look at the time. I just wanted to ask you, because this is such a big issue and we keep talking about it. What is the way forward? What is the solution? Nigerians are hungry. People cannot afford. We were struggling with eating 001. People are struggling. What is the hope and solution for Nigerians?
The government needs to, since we're discussing only food prices now, the government needs to intervene seriously. I can't sit here and tell them what to do. First of all, like I said earlier, show concern.
Yes.
And take drastic measures. When it comes to, if we look, if food is as important as it is to us, if we should get to an extent where you have to have this, we had, you can look at the example of Lagos, we had armed robbery incidents on Eko Bridge for a long time.
Yeah.
It took a long time for the government to act, but when they did, they had people, policemen line up that, and you ask yourself why do you have to wait 2 or 3 weeks to do that? If it has to get to the extent where you have security men, army, police, whatever, go to line up the to accompany people to the farms, then all I
Because
say
it's
is
because it's come to
understand
that
it's
death
important.
period. Like it's an
Yes.
emergency situation.
is.
So
Do
treat it as
something.
such.
It's
Do
quite,
something. That's all.
we have a crisis on our hands.
We're going to come handle or probably look at the other aspect of this because it seems as if we're being beaten from all sides. But stay with us here on Smooth Breakfast for Freshly Pressed 981. I'll come back to number 6. What? Manufacturers.
Prepared financially without zero worries when it's time to pay your bills, rent, school fees, and vacation. We'll be here making it easy
Does
for
that
you.
absolve the government from action?
I've always about him.
Yes, now does that absolve the government from? How can you say that?
2 minutes for the street.
Yeah, two
Studio.
minutes. Yes.
We're back to the show. This is Freshly Pressed 981 here on Smooth 98.1. Messages go to WhatsApp 0809 444 0981.
That's right. We have a few more stories, but before then, let's go on to YouTube to take. AGK said that the summit was virtually hosted by Kenyatta and Johnson before, with children from schools in Kenya and London in attendance for the first one. Baba is going for medicals and will join virtually in the UK.
All right. We have this one from. Okay, well, let's move on to more
Yeah.
stories. Manufacturers, importers stranded over 6.5 million naira duty on transit goods. In case you thought you heard wrong. Manufacturers, importers stranded over 6.5 million naira duty on transit goods, and this is a consequence of the border closure that occurred for the whole year, and it seems like a retaliation from the neighboring countries. Oji, what do you think?
Yeah, so the story itself is that the Republic of Benin has imposed new import duty of about 6.5 million naira per transit truck on Nigeria-bound cargoes. Just to clarify, okay, we are both in West Africa sub-region, and so you don't pay tariffs generally for goods between those two countries. But the contention of the Benin Republic government is that those goods are so they are not actually manufactured in Benin Republic or in Nigeria. They were from somewhere else where they were imported into Nigeria and it's passing to Benin Republic, and then they have to pay that amount per truck, as you've said. And Guardian suggests, and everything points to the fact that it is more of a payback for Nigeria that closed the border at 2009,
Yeah.
19, that lasted for more than a year. For me, all I can say is it's a question of a chicken coming home to roost. If we had to conduct a post-mortem on the border administration at the end of the 8 years period, hopefully, the border closure will be one of the head-scratching decisions, because you have to ask yourself, what did it actually achieve? I don't know what it is. I don't know that the government has actually come out to say, look at what it ended up. It's a question of one of my favorite sayings. I learned that a long time ago, maybe over 30 years ago. Don't ask me how old I am. You do not cut your nose to spite your face.
Because-
I heard that from Things Fall Apart.
Thank you for mentioning that, because some of the reasons they gave, security, smuggling, they were trying to check those.
Yeah.
Where are we now
We're still facing those
compared to
issues.
then? You know. Thank you, Oji, for being sourcing to that. Now let's move to this Igbo's trial. It resumes behind closed doors in Cotonou, according to the Punch. Although the Punch was journalists and supporters were barred from the court proceedings. We had reported earlier last week, actually. Ayo mentioned that the wife, Rokbo, who was arrested with a 48-year-old activist on July 19, Monday, by the International Criminal Police Organization, had been released, right? And then the court has granted medical care, access to medical care to Igbo. What are your thoughts on the details of the ensuing case?
All I can do is to praise those who have come to the defense or support of the Yoruba Nation agitator. He's a Nigerian citizen,
Yes.
entitled to his fundamental rights.
Yes.
Nigerian government has accused him of charging with, no, not charging formally, really. They've accused him of a number of offenses, which led to them invading his premises, that resulted in where we are today. But what happened is that the Republic court, they are not used to a large number of people, and then the court was about to be really invaded, because we understand monarchs from Nigeria traveled all the way, people
Yes.
from different. In fact, a group in in that country even offered to host those who come in, provide free accommodation for those
Yes.
who come from Nigeria.
Even Olubadan
for that
yesterday
purpose,
sent delegates.
yeah. So as a result, the government that is not the court that is not used to that number decided to bar reporters, just like Nigeria tried to do Nnamdi Kanu's own in Lagos, in Abuja yesterday. So what they ended up doing was to say only his lawyers and his wife were allowed to witness the proceeding. But the key thing there is that the wife, as you said, has been released. No offense. She's not accused of any offense, so she's been released. It's now up to Nigerian government to justify the basis. Because as when he was arrested, there was no extradition charge. Nigeria had not even formally applied for that, but they just realized he was there, and efforts were made to arrest him. So what is now ongoing is the proceedings where the court will consider whether there's beneficial evidence he has committed an offense that will result in him being extradited back to Nigeria. The proceedings, I understand, will continue today, after which we know what the court decides.
All right, thank you. Talking about courts and people in the eye of the media.
Also, sorry, there's a clarity though that was put at almost the tail end of the story. So the council insisted that only a Nigerian passport was found on the Yoruba rights activist, adding that he was not being tried for possession of a fake passport.
Richard, thank you so much for clarifying that, because a number of people have peddled that fake news.
Yes.
He had a Nigerian passport and German resident permit.
Exactly.
Yes, from his wife. All right, Nnamdi Kanu seeks transfer from SSS, that's the State Security Service, custody to prison, and access to heart doctors. You know, it's interesting, going from the Goho story, Audrey, that it seems as if to get fair trial, you have to go abroad to be arrested. So Nigerians might prefer to be arrested abroad than here in Nigeria because they have access. Yeah, I mean, look at this. Compare this side by side with Goho's trial. Please take us through this.
Okay, so what normally happens is when you are arrested by a law enforcement agency in Nigeria, they keep you, the constitution says 24 hours, 48 hours maximum, and then they will take you to court. The court will then either grant you bail or remand you in prison, correctional center facility for your trial if you're not granted bail. But in this case, firstly, they got an order of court to keep him at the DSS premises for a number of days. And then on Monday, 26th of July was the day they were supposed to start the trial. On that day, the court will heard his application for bail. What then happens, the same people who are keeping him in custody come to court and say that for logistic reasons, they were not able to bring him to court. And then the judge adjourns the case to October 21st. That's 3 months. I can't say on.
So it's for logistic reasons.
That's the reason.
I mean, most of the headlines were misleading. Yesterday they were saying absent, and that was the reason why. Almost as if he can walk by himself.
You're coming from custody. You are in the custody of the government.
For all logistics, please. Is it that the roads are bad? We know, but is it that the car is bad or?
I would hope that out of respect to the court, they are giving the court another reason or explain what they meant by that logistics. Because I don't know why the court would then accept such an excuse and then adjourn the case to October, in which case he will have to remain there. So what he's saying is, look, and again, he is a Nigerian, entitled to adequate amount of facilities for his defense. He's entitled to be treated with dignity. That's just one of the provisions of our constitution. They're all in chapter 4 of the constitution. So what he's now saying is that the court should, at the very least, transfer him from DSS custody, where he hasn't said why, but said it is better for him to go to those correctional centers. Again, his lawyers have also said we are not allowed access to him, and if we are to defend him, we need adequate time and facilities, which the constitution provides for. So allow him go to the correctional center. Not that he's going to go free. He will stay there, what we used to call prison before, so we can have access to him, discuss with him, and then put out a robust defense, which again is a fundamental right that the constitution gives to him.
Thank you, Oji. Before we go, this is worth mentioning. According to this day, Justice Anwuli Chikere of the Federal High Court in Abuja on Monday ordered the Department of State Services to release 5 worshippers who were arrested at the Dunamis International Gospel Center on July 4th for allegedly wearing T-shirts that bore "Buhari must go." Anyway.
This is still a democracy.
Yes.
Yes.
I was going to ask, when did it become a crime to wear shirts like this? Is that considered as hate speech?
When did it become a crime to protest?
This is still a democracy, whether we like it or not.
All right.
It's 8 o'clock. We really appreciate you for joining us on Freshly Pressed 981. Continue the engagement with the hashtag Freshly Pressed 981 and with Ayo Mario Essay.
And Valentine.
Special thanks to Audrey Uka for being such an amazing analyst
Yes.
today.
Thank you for
Please
having us.
ensure you, because we couldn't take all comments and we see a number of them come through. 8:10 in 10 minutes, we will go into Lagos Talks 981. We'll take your comments and your phone calls to any of the stories in response to any of the stories we've talked about this morning.
The number is 0144899881.
Access to loans from Page Financial.
Thank you so much, Audrey.
Thank you. Welcome.
Have a good day at court.
Yes, man.
May your time not be
Yes.
wasted.
At all.
You can't try it again today.